Turn off your lights. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. We rushed my aunt to the hospital, so now she can get real medical treatment rather than all the pseudoscience home remedies she's been mixing up herself. But what's that sharp smell, and why are the doctors and nurses around her falling unconscious? Brooklyn and the Storm by Nicholas Leonard. I wish it rained forever. I wish it rained forever so I could see the specular reflections on her ocean floor face. I wish it rained forever so that I could experience her expression of timid horror, timid relief, juxtapose the thunder. I wish it rained forever so that I could see how everything glows light blue and dark blue on her face, her worried face, just before she disappears. But if it rained forever, she'd never disappear.
You've been watching the weather a lot. Do you think the gymnasium's gonna flood?
My mother asked when she came into the living room. I was sitting in front of the TV, glued to the Channel 5 forecast. Friday was what I was most concerned about. All the girls would scurry from the limo to the school, hurrying not to get their hair and dress wet after how long they spent getting ready. But my date wouldn't. No. If Caroline Glass, the weather woman, was right about Friday, May the 11th, 2018, then my date was going to be there. But she wasn't going to be flocking to the school for shelter.
You didn't want to ask anyone?
My mom asked while fluffing a pillow.
No, not really.
Well, I think it's still good you're gonna go.
My mother was saying, but I was too concerned with what Caroline Glass was saying.
It'll be good just to go and experience it. I remember my prom.
It wasn't that I was ignoring her. I was just focused on the forecast.
And we're going to have a chance of pretty heavy downpours Friday evening.
Caroline Glass explained, moving to the other side of the screen that displayed a map of the state of Illinois. It showed a time lapse of those yellow and green splotches coming up. Lowering over above Illinois was red and orange speckles in its digital storm. To people like my mom, that yellow blob which was creeping towards Illinois was just a digital representation of a storm front. But to me, it was Brooklyn's carriage. Every other girl in my grade was taking a limousine to Resurrection High, but she was taking a carriage. No, she was taking the storm. My mom ruffled my hair, stopping me out of focus.
Mom!
I can't believe no girls asked you, Luke.
If they had, I would have said no.
Luke, what's wrong with the girls at your school?
I looked at the yellow storm on the screen. Friday, 8 p.m., the screen read. Friday, 9 p.m., the storm still over Illinois. The storm completely covering Illinois.
Nothing's necessarily wrong with them.
I said and went back to the anchors at the desk.
It's just, I guess I'm not ready for a girlfriend.
I lied.
Luke.
My mom was smiling.
They don't have to be your girlfriend. Wouldn't it be special to just take a girl and give her a fun night? Make her feel special? Dance with her even if you don't want to? This night isn't really for the guys, you know. No school dances.
I thought about Leah Child, who was in my math class with me. She had a crush on me in elementary school. I know this because she chased me around at recess a few times. She had big red framed glasses and always wore her brown hair back in a ponytail. I guess now she was cute, but there was the storm. Brooklyn and the storm. I first saw Brooklyn when I was in the 10th grade in a different math class, Miss Sweeney's math class, which was on the first floor of Resurrection High. The windows had a view of the parking lot and football field behind our school. It was raining so heavily on that day that I first saw Brooklyn that it seemed as though we had gone to school in the evening instead of the morning. Everything was dark blue and gray outside, clouds projecting their shadow down onto the football field and parking lot outside. One girl shrieked at the cannon fire thunder far away, but all there came next was a steady strumming of rain, which sounded more interesting than what Miss Sweeney was talking about. So naturally, I was looking outside more than I was at the whiteboard, and that was when I saw her. When I turned my head to look outside again after pretending to pay attention for what I thought had to be ample amount of time, she was standing there, hugging herself like one does when they're cold. For whatever reason, I immediately knew nobody but me noticed her. She was not looking for anyone's attention but my own. She was a brown-haired girl, though her hair was a dark chocolate color from how wet it was from the rain, and her eyes were struggling to stay open. She had small lips. She was in jeans, a kind of dark brown jacket with a scarlet shirt underneath, for I saw the scarlet where her jacket parted, crumbled around her folded arms. Lightning did not diminish or increase her features. She didn't flinch at this spasm from the sky, but she did when a corresponding crack of thunder called. It seemed to intensify her shivering. How little became of Miss Sweeney's voice while she and I looked at each other. And, oh God, I knew she was looking at me, looking for me. She knew I could see her. After the marvel of noticing her, I started wondering what she was doing in the rain, who she was, and why she wasn't rushing in. She seemed around my age, though maybe she was a junior, but there was a maturity about her face that the juniors and seniors in Resurrection High just didn't have. She looked like how I imagined a 20-year-old woman would look, but everything in her timid, rain-beaten eyes suggested that she was in high school. But why wasn't she in high school? Why was she out there in the rain? I almost spoke up, but why didn't I? I spent all of Miss Sweeney's class looking at her while she looked at me. I saw her trying to stifle those subtle convulsions that coldness sometimes creates. We looked at each other for so long that I started developing goosebumps as I imagined how it felt for her to have all that rain crawling down her face. How she seemed to forlorn that she didn't have any hood or shell for her face to tuck backwards into. For all she had were bangs, jungle-like, on her forehead, while the rest of her hair had the effect of a recent shower. No, there was nowhere for any of her to hide. All of her was to suffer every droplet, roar, and flash that the dominating sky let loose. I had never been so sad about a math class ending until the bell rang that day. I'd have to climb up to the 3rd floor of Resurrection High to spend another 40 minutes in Spanish, where I inevitably butcher the language. There's something spaceship-like about a school when it's rain outside. Those white walls really become white walls when the world goes dark outside. It makes it a somewhat exciting place to be, and I had more reason to relish in this. While climbing the staircase, I looked from student to student, freshman and senior, trying to see if anyone's hair was wet. I looked at people's pants, not for perverted reasons, but to see who was wearing jeans and who was not. Of course, people were wearing jeans, but none of them were the girl who had been staying outside in the rain. And when I reached the 3rd floor, while students convened at their lockers and crossed the hall, I looked from face to face, head to head, in search of her. She had to have been a student, for she looked familiar, and she seemed most likely to be a teen, but I couldn't find her. I was late to Spanish class that day because I walked up and down the halls of the 3rd floor, down the hallways with the orange lockers, and up the hallway with the blue lockers. I even got a strange look from Mr. Sherwood, a dean, when he noticed the concern on my face, which was probably too prevalent for a student to have. I have to end my search though and went into Spanish class where my teacher said she almost marked me absent. When the bell rang at 2 that afternoon, I did not take the bus home. Instead, I walked the perimeter of Resurrection High while the oak trees shed rainwater that their branches had collected. The sky was still cloudy, but sunlight was making a sick attempt to come out. I walked behind the school, walked through the faculty parking lot, and tried discerning which windows belonged to Miss Sweeney's classroom. It was difficult to do because I had rarely been on that part of the grounds, but I had finally discerned where she had stood. That spot felt haunted in the most wonderful way. I wish a clap of thunder would come back just to vindicate me, as though a reminder of the storm would prove to me that she had been staying there and that she had been looking at me. For a couple days afterwards, I chalked it up to sleep deprivation or some kind of boredom-induced hallucination. But what did I do when a thing of lightning strobed my room one night when I was in my bed? I got up and ran down the hall, downstairs, and out into the night. The trees along the sidewalk of our neighborhood were baying, bowing in a discoordinated pagan prayer. Their trunks did not permit them to fulfill their crazy movements that their branches wished to do. I felt a cool wind, but did not join in the maniacal worship. I smelt the smell of rain ahead. It's such a long smell that fills the human soul, the smell that never changes for us. I stood there on the pathway from the front door to the sidewalk, slowly starting away from my house. I remember it. I had a blue flannel pajama pants and a white t-shirt on, and my hair was still disheveled from the shower I had taken before going to bed. It's weird that I rushed out of the house, but that I was tiptoeing towards the sidewalk. I could have woken my mom up, but there was no one to wake up outside. Maybe there was someone to scare away, someone to startle. My nose tried to pull the storm cloud scent closer to me as I started walking down the sidewalk. And after looking over my shoulder, I started walking into the street. I heard it sprinkle down into the trees, giving all the leaves the salvation they tossed and turned for. And then it came down on the street. Immediately my eyelids started batting, and I wondered how she managed to stand so long in it. I looked up and experienced that hyperspace tunnel of rain, which was enchanting to look at, but almost impossible to enjoy because of how my face was punished for being raised into the storm. I brought my face back to level and looked ahead. It was perfect that no headlights broke the curtain of the storm. It was a gentle storm, the kind that has lazy curtains of gray and silvery raindrops. Even if she is a hallucination, so be it, I thought. I just want to see her again, I thought. And this thought was more so a prayer to the storm instead of a thought to file in my mind. One of those silly human thoughts we mail to things that cannot respond. She answered. How faint her mascara was, smudged like ink on a waterlogged letter. Her skin was just a tad tanner than mine. I and my mom are pale, and her face was a beige desert color of Mediterranean ocean floor with minimal dotting of freckles like speckles in the sand. I don't know if I was too entranced to have noticed her. I don't know if I had looked to my left or right to search for her. I don't know how or why, but she just appeared in front of me as though she had never had to appear at all. As though she was already and always been there. She was in the same clothes, same hair, and she was hugging herself. She looked worried but relieved, and now her face was close. I could see it. I could see the life in her eyes which no raindrops could manipulate. They looked at me and remembered when the world was dry, when sunlight used to work on our skin. We looked at each other long enough for my hair to get as wet as hers, and maybe almost as dark as hers. But my hair is blonde, so probably not as dark.
Hi.
I said above the rain. Her voice had a natural rasp to it.
Hey,
I'm Luke.
my name's Brooklyn.
She said in a little shout while lightning stamped on our faces.
What are you doing out here? What were you doing out there in the parking lot the other day at school?
I asked, but she didn't answer, so I threw my thumb over my shoulder.
Do you want to go inside?
Thunder cracked.
Not yet.
She said in a half shout, and this is when I figured her voice was naturally low, nothing capable of winning a race in the rain. I looked at her for a good few seconds before asking,
Do you like the rain?
I just get lost in it.
I said her name just to say it.
Brooklyn.
She tightened her own hug on herself, and she nodded, lips pouting and pursing with cold.
Are you a junior? Do you go to Res High?
I asked, and she didn't hesitate, but her face halted on some kind of expression before she answered.
I dropped out.
Oh, were you thinking of coming back in the other day?
I joked. Finally, whatever that timidness was holding her facial muscle hostage let go. She must have been about to say, haha, very funny, but she didn't.
Look, you want to come back with me or go to your place?
I don't want to wake anyone up.
You won't. My mom literally sleeps through thunderstorms.
So, we'll just have to whisper?
Brooklyn, I have a feeling we'll be okay.
I said, and we started walking down the street. It was me who shepherded her out of the cold rain. I was shrugging with my hands in my pockets, as if that'd keep me from getting wet. She was a hug yourself in the rain kind of girl, and I was hands in your pockets kind of guy.
Do you want hot cocoa when we get inside?
I asked when we were halfway to my house. I was scared she was going to change her mind, but I think that was just me being a nervous teenage boy. It's hard to tell what someone's thinking when they're wearing a constant shroud of rain.
Maybe.
She half shouted. I could see she was straining to see ahead, so I started to guide her with my hand on her back. She was solid, real. Her waterlogged hair tickling on my knuckles, and I felt my fingers pressing on her jacket, which concealed the dipping of her spine. And like an unapproving father, the thunder came down the entire street when I touched her. Still, we continued on into the rain. How hard it was becoming on our cheeks.
Here,
I said when approaching the lawn. She shimmied up the 3-foot steps and onto the porch, where the storm was an orchestral thing and not something that could touch us. So it felt as though we were breaking into an area designated for an audience. But it felt as though she belonged out there in the rain. It made the thunder sad, lower and mopey for her to be under some kind of shelter.
I'm not gonna wake anyone up.
She whispered when we entered the foyer.
No, come on.
I said, tiptoeing into the kitchen.
Wait.
She hissed before I could turn the light on. Her voice was so much more raspy in a whisper.
I don't want to wake anyone up, I mean.
Her eyes were scanning the room, and I could see this only because of how the kitchen window was throwing the blue light of the storm on her face.
Wouldn't it be weird for your parents to wake up and see you've brought a strange girl into their house?
Are you strange? I'll just whisper.
Despite being inside, she was still hugging herself, and I noticed that this was a defensive position. She was like a lost chess piece, the maiden in the storm. What advantage would she have over the other chess pieces, like my mother, the queen, or me, the knight I hoped I was? But she was still soaked. I couldn't imagine how her hair looked dry. I couldn't imagine those dark chocolate brown eyes not having smudges of mascara below them, melted wrecks on her ocean floor face.
What were you doing out there yesterday?
I was looking for a bench.
A bench?
She nodded.
I think it's a memorial.
A memorial? At our school?
She nodded, stammering.
It was for my mother, but I think they removed it for some reason.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think I remember that. What happened to your mom? We don't have to talk about it.
I think they removed it because I dropped out. Or something.
She sank into herself, and she wasn't hugging herself out of defense anymore, but out of timidness. We whispered in morning whispers, not twilight whispers.
Why don't you storm in? Demand they tell you what they did and why. Wasn't it just outside the school? Why were you looking in the faculty parking lot?
Because people would see me.
I saw you.
I wasn't planning on that.
So why were you looking at me like that the other day?
She waited before answering.
Because I don't know why, but I think you can help me.
Sure, I'll help you.
Thunder toned, how similar it was to an old big bell, like a conductor. A gust threw itself along outside, telling every passenger of the storm that their last stop was upon them.
I have to go, Luke.
Go home?
She nodded.
Thank you for letting me in.
Wait, how do I help you? Where do you live?
She started walking out of the kitchen, whispering.
I'll find you.
So this was her chess move, leaving and rendering me helpless while she left. I stood there a little bewitched as she walked back into the storm. It was sunny the next day, and I didn't see Brooklyn. After school, I stood in front of the bench that used to be the memorial. I was holding onto the strap of my backpack, and my hair was still very disheveled from the night before. I remember they changed it at the start of the school year because of some civil statement, but they were very hazy, and I only heard my mom mention it in passing. It was just a stone bench without a name now. and I wonder what Brooklyn's mom's name was. I looked around, but Brooklyn wasn't there. Again, I started to search for her in school, even though she said she had dropped out. Maybe she would sneak in and try to find me. Maybe she'd come back.
You've been spending a lot of time after school.
My mom mentioned the following week while I was helping her in her cafe. She runs a cafe on an intersection downtown. Serving people coffee and making sure I had good grades was her forte. I shrugged.
Well, I guess I'm just thankful for it.
She kinda laughed.
Thankful for school? I never thought you'd say that.
Yeah, well, it's growing on me.
You're a good boy, Luke.
I didn't say anything back. I was thinking of Brooklyn. I was teetering on realizing, but then realizing it would make it real. Has your heart ever broken for someone who wasn't real? What if your thought of the perfect person, your beautiful person, could exist so much until they're tangible enough to even fool the storm and the rain sticks to them? I was dry, wearing an apron in my mom's cafe, but I wanted to be soaked with Brooklyn. I wanted to have the rain pelting down on us. It's what I thought about while wiping down recently vacated tables, looking out the window and wishing to see her on the corner, but it was too sunny. She was pretty. She had singled me out. I had never been singled out like that before, not soulfully. She appeared in my hallway after we had a month-long drought. I was just getting out of the bathroom after waking up to pee when I walked back into the hallway and a flash of lightning revealed her. There was one window at the end of the hallway, glowing blue of course, and she was a silhouette. Her arms were folded and her hair was wet.
I let myself in.
She whispered, her expression suggesting that my presence was stalling some tragedy.
Where have you been?
I whispered. She didn't answer, but the rain coming down on the roof and crawling down the house was answering for her. This was the night I realized she only came when it rained. I didn't ask why. I didn't want to know why. I just accepted her.
Brooklyn?
I stepped towards her in the hallway.
Why can't I see you?
Oh, how she looked up into my face. My voice was shaky.
Can you be brave for me and come in the sunlight?
I pleaded in a whisper.
I can't, Luke. Why do you want me to?
Do you have to ask?
You have some kind of high school crush on me.
She half laughed.
Yes. Why me?
Her voice became even more rapsy.
You have a kind face.
I took a step closer.
Why is yours always wet?
She looked up at me as though I was the sunlight that could finally dry her. Her lips tasted like how rain smells. She was my first kiss. We vanquished the thunder but kept the rain. It lasted a year. Only when it rained, but she was always worth the wait. It broke my heart. It spoiled my heart. And I so badly wanted to know what it did to her heart. Junior year, May, I brought my tux into my mom's cafe with the biggest, dumbest smile on my face.
Blue?
She smirked.
Teal? Oh, Luke, oh my God, I should have chaperoned you.
Relax, Mom.
I was too happy. I put the tux in its plastic wrapping on the counter.
Luke, do you realize you'll be the only one in a blue tux?
I was still smiling. She was examining it, going,
Well, maybe it'll go well with your hair. Yellow and blue are good colors, right? What made you pick this, Luke?
I just like the color blue.
I said while thinking about how everything glowed blue whenever Brooklyn was near. Did I whisper that? Oh my god, my heart was so full of rain that I swear she could have walked in right into that cafe. But when I turned around at the sound of the little bell, it was a stout, beard-bellied man who entered instead.
And we're going to have a chance of pretty heavy downpours Friday evening,
Carolyn Glass had said. How my heart had its own thunder at the thought of that. Would every other student and teacher in the gymnasium see her with me? What dress would she be wearing? She didn't need a dress. Just those jeans, her brown jacket, and scarlet shirt. I drove myself to Resurrection High that night, leaving the house at 7:30 in my blue suit, with my blonde hair ruffled. I had messed it up after getting in my car because my mom had gone overboard with the gel and combing. Brooklyn and I liked it best when our hair was wet, heavy, and unkept. My windshield wipers were sliding back and forth like crazy, and I heard all the puddles that my tires disrupted. I saw lots of limos at stoplights, saw how the red stoplights were blurring in the downpour. I saw the limos in my rearview mirror, their windshield wipers going too, and I felt her all around me, waiting for me, my prom date. Girls and boys were indeed hurrying to Resurrection High when I pulled into the student parking lot. I saw a faculty member in a yellow raincoat directing people where to park, but they completely missed me. Probably because of how much that yellow hood obscures their vision. I got out of my car, probably with too much nonchalance, my hair accepting droplets the way flower petals do. Drip, drip, drop, on the strands above my forehead. I started towards the entrance of Resurrection High, past the memorial bench that no longer had a name. She was standing right outside the doors, hugging herself almost straitjacket style, while all the pretty girls skipped into the school, hauling their boyfriends behind them. None of them seemed to care that Brooklyn wasn't all dolled up. Hell, they probably thought she was a faculty member.
You came.
I said, stopping beside her where the gutter was making lots of rainwater noise. She looked at me. Finally, for once she wasn't whispering.
I can't go in there.
Come on, you're with me.
Luke,
She was looking past me, though her face was still parallel to mine.
I want to spend the night there, at my bench.
Your bench?
I turned around, then back at her, and her pleadful expression bade me not to ponder further, so I offered my hand as though I was ready to walk her towards it. We walked out into the open air. I felt my shoulder pads sponge up the rain. With her hand in mine, I assisted her up onto the bench. She was standing up on it and looking down at me. Luckily, most of the students had gone inside by then.
What's your full name, Brooklyn?
I asked. I hadn't let myself ask this because part of me knew the answer would jeopardize what we had.
Brooklyn Bielski.
She said, thunder clapped, angry at the memory.
You're beautiful, Brooklyn Bielski.
I said, and she smiled. I walked her back and forth on the bench until it started coming down harder. I helped her down and we laughed because of how violent the storm was becoming. We went into the gymnasium where the lights were blue and danced to Selena Gomez's Love You Like a Love Song. She was beautiful. The way her eyes sparkled, the way her hair retained the storm. She retained all the beauty of the lighting. She swayed in the middle of the crowd, the wettest couple there, while thunder tried in vain to disrupt the heavy bass.
You know, it can't rain forever, Luke.
She said during the song's bridge, as if it was the only opportunity we had to face the truth. So I didn't speak. I waited for the chorus, for reality to submit to rain again, and all we did was sway. But we ran back outside again. I propped her back up on the bench, and she was laughing, wet hair down towards me. I only cheerfully proclaimed it because of how happy she looked, because of how much fun we were having.
Brooklyn Bielski!
I shouted above the rain.
This is your bench!
And she laughed too. But the next morning was sunny, and my lips were sore from kissing, the only proof I had of her existence. I looked her up on my Chromebook, and the following news story came up. Brooklyn Bielski, 17, a student of Resurrection High, was driving home from a friend's house Wednesday night when a drunk driver collided with her when turning right onto Anchor Avenue in Resurrection, Illinois. The news story was dated May 5th, 2006. I was not surprised at all. I read another news story dated March 2017 reading, "The family of Saul Miller has successfully filed to get the Brooklyn Bielski Memorial outside of Resurrection High removed. Miller was serving a 15-year sentence, but recently got released on good behavior. He attends AA meetings and says he's a changed man. But that accident he suffered in the spring of 2006 has tarnished his chances of starting anew." I didn't have to read further. The following Monday at school, I bursted into Dean's office, blurting the name,
Brooklyn Bielski.
and saw the immediate trouble start with Mr. Sherwood's eyes. You can imagine the kind of vigor I berated him with. My mom and no one else could have expected what movement started or why. But by June, the name Brooklyn Bielski was back on the stone bench outside of Resurrection High. Even the mayor got involved, and they made a big deal about it in the paper. I hadn't thought of the consequences. I was just thinking of Brooklyn and remembering how timid and scared she looked, how she hugged herself. It was such a weak sprinkle when I saw her for the very last time. It was in the hallway, of course, and it was actually light outside. She peered right in front of the window at the end of the hall with a deer in headlights expression. It hadn't rained since prom, so it was the first time we had seen each other since.
Brooklyn.
Luke, I came to say goodbye.
Goodbye?
And thank you.
I stepped towards her, asking,
What do you mean?
I can go now.
she said with an unsturdy smile.
It was so cold in the storm.
She cooed. Oh, but how she looked at me. I heard the fear in my own voice.
Where are you going, Brooklyn?
Beyond the storm.
You can't.
Next time it rains, step outside and raise your face to the rain. Let it hit your eyelids and let the droplets break on your lips. Those are my lips, Luke.
I think I was crying, but I kept all the squeals and sobs locked behind my pulsing lips. She gave a faint smile and did something no woman has ever done since. She raised herself on her tippy toes, closed her eyes, and kissed my forehead. And how she returned to her original height. She wasn't wet anymore. She wasn't crossing her arms out of a defense anymore, but out of some kind of cheerleader confidence.
Brooklyn.
Thank you, Luke.
She walked backwards and faded out of the window, and all I smelt was rain. I've been a driving instructor at Resurrection, Illinois for quite some time now, but I've developed a kind of weird reputation. Whenever it starts raining, I make my students pull over, I get out of the car and lift my face into the storm, and I catch the droplets on my lips while listening to the windshield wipers work behind me. I take my students up and down the street I used to live on with my mom, the street Brooklyn and I walked on. I swear she walked with me down that street. We go down Anchor Avenue, where I give my students a somewhat stern lecture about safety, and we drive by Resurrection High, past the Morro Bench, past the faintest smell of rain that's always there. The smell that makes me think about the rich, dark chocolate color of her hair when it was wet. My wife would always rub the fact that our toddler wanted her to pick him up and would cry any time I touched him. In between sobs, I now have to urge her to put him down for the very last time, while the rest of the mourners look on sympathetically. Today's story, I was joined by other narrators. Luke was played by Dusk Light Radio. Brooklyn was played by Paunch Monster. Mom was played by Spirit Voices, and Carolyn Glass was played by Marie's Field of Nightmares. And of course, I narrated it. Please check the description box for all the links to all these lovely narrators. And with that, our time together is coming to an end. If you have a story you'd like me to narrate, whether true or fictional, there are 3 different ways you can send it my way. The links are down below for you guys. And of course, I would like to thank the writers who let me read their stories this evening, and of course, the narrators who lent their voices to help me bring it to life. I know this wasn't the most scary story out there, but somewhere along the lines, horror and ghost girlfriend do go together. It's one of those stories that has a bittersweet end. Brooklyn gotta move on, but sadly, Luke is still yearning for her all these years later. If you enjoy these stories, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, please subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. And of course, leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought of this story, what kind of stories you like in the future, and if you got this far, write VIP in the comment. If you're listening on the podcast and are able to, please leave a review or a comment. If you'd like to help this podcast and channel grow, please share it with anyone who might enjoy it. It helps quite a bit. If you're willing to help in a more financial way and get some bonuses with it, I do have Patreon and memberships. And if you'd like to do more of a one-time thing, I have PayPal, Buy Me Coffee, and Super Thanks. All my links are down below, including the ones for my socials. But as always, guys, thank you for watching and listening. It always has and always will mean the world to me. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.